Today I'm going to show you 5 simple Halloween nails that even I, a non-nail expert, can do. Plus I have one extra idea that builds off of the other one. First I want to say that I did this on real nails, but the camera didn't capture it well, so I ended up just refilming it later on a nail palette after I realized that it didn't capture very well. This is my first ever nail tutorial, so there was definitely some failures along the way. And these nails aren't perfect, of course, because I'm not a nail expert, but I think they're easy to do, and even if you make some mistakes on these, I don't think it's noticeable at all, really, for most people, unless they look up really close, like, in a nail tutorial, which you guys are going to see any mistakes in this because it's so close up. Some of these nails require dotting tools or some brushes. But sprinkled throughout this video, you'll also see some nails that don't require any special tools. The first nail I'm going to show you is the ghost nail. It's extremely easy. All you need is a base coat, white nail polish, an opaque black nail polish. I used stamping nail polish, but you can use whatever black nail polish you want to use as long as it's opaque, a top coat, and some dotting tools. By the way, the current nails that I have while I'm doing the nail art on these videos that you see, I used a nail stamping technique. Not as simple, so I didn't show it on how to do it, but they look like tiger stripes actually when I was looking on the video, but if you see it in person it looks like bats. Step 1. Paint your nail with a base coat. Step 2. Paint your nail white. Paint as many layers as you need until it's totally opaque. For some people, they just need to do maybe 2 layers. I had to do 3 because my white nail polish is not very opaque. One optional step at this point is to add a quick drying top coat to make it faster, especially if you're using older nail polish. Step 3, paint 2 small black dots with the dotting tool. Those will be for the eyes. Then you're going to do 1 bigger dot or make an oval below the mouth. For the mouth. I tried doing a smile, but it did not look right. So I would not suggest it unless you're better than me, which you might be better than me at it, but that was really a bad idea. Step 4, paint your nail with a top coat. I'm using Hollow Taco, but you can use any preferred top coat you want. I'm just biased because I like Christine from Simply Nailogical. The next nail is the Tombstone. You're going to need a base coat, a light gray, as light as you can get of a gray. Darker grays, it's not going to show very well the lettering that you put in. An opaque black, an opaque green, and a thin brush to paint with. Step 1, paint with a base coat. Step 2, paint your nail gray. Paint enough layers until it's totally opaque. I believe I had to do it 3 times to get it opaque, but yours might be different. You can use an optional quick drying top coat at this time if you want to be able to move on to the next step quicker. Step 3, write RIP as carefully as possible, and you can put little periods between each letter if you want. Take your time, but even if you mess up, you can make it work. I messed up, especially when I did it on my wrong hand, because I'm left-handed, so when I did it on my left hand and had to paint it with my right, I just had to write it really slow, and if I messed up, I just made it work. It doesn't have to be perfect. Step 4, draw some grass at the bottom of the nail with little curved lines. Step 5, paint with your top coat. The next nail I'm going to show is the Halloween French tip. It's essentially a French tip, but with different colors to make it look more Halloween themed. So you're going to need a base coat, an orange nail polish, an opaque black nail polish, and top coat. Step 1, you're going to need to paint with a base coat. Step 2, paint your nail orange. Paint enough layers until it's totally opaque. For me, that was 3 layers. But for you it could be 2 or less. You can use an optional quick drying top coat at this time if you want to be able to move on to the next step quicker. Step 4. Make a line at the top of your nail in black like a French tip. Be careful, take your time on this. Don't put too much nail polish on because then it's going to take forever to dry. Step 5, put your top coat on, but make sure that it's completely dry before you put your top coat on. My bonus nail idea for this is you could do kind of the same idea, but instead use some tape and put it across the nail at an angle, and then paint like half of your nail black and then half of it will be orange as the base. And then you can kind of just do that at different angles, and that might look kind of fun, and it's actually really quick and easy, but has those Halloween colors. Make sure that if you do the tape idea, don't use a peel-off base coat because it'll come off with the tape. I made that mistake when I did it, so don't make the same mistake I did. The next nail that I'm going to show you is the spider nail. First, you need a base coat, an orange nail polish, an opaque black nail polish, a top coat, a dotting tool, and a thin brush. Notice that my tools that I'm using, it actually is a combination of a dotting tool and a paintbrush. It's very convenient because you have less tools that you have to work with, and especially if you have to use both of them in the nail art that you're doing that day, it's just a lot easier. So I got mine pretty affordable on Amazon, like within a day or two, so I would highly suggest just doing that. Step 1, paint with your base coat. Step 2, paint your nail orange. Paint enough layers until it's totally opaque, and for me that was 3 layers, but for you, it could be different. You can use an optional quick drying top coat at this time if you want to be able to move on to the next step quicker. Step 3, put a big dot on your nail kind of near the center, and then a small dot on top. Step 4, make small legs at the top. The legs get longer from there. Try to make them thinner at the tip of the legs. And the top 2 legs are going to curve up. The bottom 2 legs are going to curve down. Step 5, you can add dots, lines, even attempt a spider web if you want. Step 6, paint a top coat. Make sure it's completely dry before you paint your top coat. And that's for pretty much all of the nail art. You have to make sure it's dry. Give yourself extra time. The next nail I'm going to show you is the candy corn nails. This one requires absolutely no special tools. You need a base coat, white nail polish. You can use liquid latex, but it's not required, and also don't use it if you're allergic. A lot of people have allergies to latex, so there's other alternatives out there, and if you really are interested in nail art, I would highly suggest making sure you have something on hand that's kind of like liquid latex, or something that's not latex but does the same effect, because that helps a lot with cleanup. It's not required though for this, but it's helpful. You'll also need an opaque orange and yellow nail polish, and you'll need a top coat. Step 1, you need to paint your nail with a base coat. Step 2, you need to paint your nail white. Paint enough layers so that it's totally opaque. For me that was 3. You can use an optional quick drying top coat at this time if you want to be able to move on to the next step quicker. Step 3, paint a yellow stripe at the bottom of your nail. Try your best to be careful and make it just one straight line. Oops, I got some on the other nail. It's difficult on a palette. It's a lot easier when it's just on your own nail and you can separate your nails. Step 4, make an orange stripe in the middle of the nail, and then you're going to end up having a white stripe at the top that you're not going to paint. Step 5, after it's completely dry, paint your top coat. If you use the liquid latex, that will help a lot with cleanup. If you didn't use liquid latex or anything like that, you could use just like a Q-tip, or I have like a cleanup brush that can kind of clean around the edges if I got any of the stripe on the edges of the nail. So it kind of depends on what you want to use. One thing I'd like to mention at the end of this video is that you may notice on the market that there are some Halloween nail polishes out there, And a lot of them are cool in theory, but when I try to use them, it's typically, in my opinion, kind of annoying. And I even don't really like the glow-in-the-dark nail polishes because I just don't really use them or notice them. I typically just do nail art, especially nail stamping. Once you get really good at nail stamping, it becomes pretty easy and looks good as the end product. So I just typically do that instead, and I may end up recording a video at some point showing you how to do some nail stamping and also giving you some tips and tricks on how to do that. So stay tuned, and thank you for watching this video. And that is what Kay says about Halloween nails.